Today we're talking about trespassing. They're the scum of the earth, the dirtbags of the deer woods, and in our opinion, the only lower form of life on earth are poachers. But unfortunately, at some point or another, a lot of us have to deal with trespassing. And most of the time, it doesn't stop until legal matters are pushed. Quick story, about 20 years ago on our family farm, we had problems and issues with unwanted, unauthorized ATV use. And it went on for months and months and months until one day, my grandfather finally caught up to a group of riders, physically held them at gunpoint while we called the sheriff. Sheriff showed up, and then legal matters were taken. And that sounds like a cool story, but unfortunately, you know, relying on John Wayne tactics or Rambo antics, whatever you want to call it, the problem with that is it may take several months to have the opportunity to have that encounter. Fast forward, 20 years, 2022, with cell cameras, you can have that real-time interaction with dirtbags at any point in time. Before we dive into the camera side of this topic, we want to mention a couple things that you should be doing up front. Number one, get familiar with your state and local laws. Are you in a purple paint state? Are you in an area where people can trespass on you legally? They can walk on you if your property is not marked. So it's super, super important to understand what your laws are in the state that you own that piece of property in. Number two, contact your local law enforcement. In our opinion, it's a good idea to have this entire process documented. If it does come to, pursuing legal matter, I think this aids in your case. So be sure to document that conversation, date, time, personnel that you actually spoke to, and more than likely, they're probably gonna blow you off. But at the end of the day, taking 5 minutes to document that could be the difference in that person getting booked down the road. So the third thing we want to mention is don't be afraid to harness the power of social media. As they say, make them famous. So let's take a look at scenario number one, foot traffic. It's really evident to us that more trespassing goes on in the spring than any other time of the year, and really boils down to shed hunters, mushroom hunters, and ginseng diggers. There's really no rocket science to what we're trying to do here. You basically just want to move your cell cameras into these locations before that time period actually starts. There are a couple things you can do with your cameras. We highly recommend video mode over photo mode. With photo mode, there's, oftentimes you'll get a picture of that intruder or that trespasser, but they may have their head turned, or you might not get the exact photo that you need to turn over to law enforcement. Where if you're running video mode, you're much more likely to get a clip that can be used to identify that person. You want to stay with black flash trail cameras just in case something happens at night. Those intruders or those trespassers can't visually see that flash from that camera. You want to leave your camera in real-time upload so you're getting that photo or video transmitted to you in real time. The faster you get that information, the faster you're able to act. And of course, you want to keep your cameras hidden. Keep them elevated or keep them hidden because at the end of the day, if they see the camera, if they know they're trespassing, they're more likely to take that camera. And then the last thing I'd like to mention is just keeping your trigger delay as short as possible on that camera. If you don't take our advice and use video mode and you want to run photo mode because of the data savings, keep your trigger delay short. So maybe on even a 2 or 3 shot burst. So when that trigger event does happen, you have increased odds of actually capturing something that's usable. Scenario number two. Vehicle traffic. From a cell camera security application standpoint, we get more calls about people wanting to use cellular cameras to monitor driveways, remote drives, gates, and even placing them on mailboxes to make sure their mailboxes aren't getting smashed. But unfortunately, all these inquiries and all these people, they're after the wrong thing. They're trying to get shots or videos of license plates. And from a black flash camera standpoint and the way that license plates are physically made, 99% of the time those shots and videos are gonna be washed out at night and nothing is really gonna be usable. It's just the nature of the beast. Using trail cameras or cell cameras, black flash cameras, red flash cameras, in that type of scenario, they just don't work. That's not an applicable use case, in a security setting. But there are some things you can do just to capture some relevant information on make, vehicle model, things of that nature. So again, like the foot traffic scenario, you want to keep your cameras hidden, you want to use black flash, you want to use those same types of settings. The only thing different here is you really want to move your cameras back off of that physical feature, whatever you're monitoring, the driveway, the gate, the access road. You want to be able to move that back because when you're thinking about capturing moving vehicles, obviously they're moving at a faster clip than a walking pace or someone just walking through the woods or walking through your property. And with that, you can think of trail cameras kind of having a 45-degree detection angle, and knowing that 45 is a 1-to-1, for every foot you're away from that physical feature, you're approximately going to have 1 foot of horizontal detection distance. Now, that's just a general rule of thumb. That's not an exact science, but moving those cameras 25, 30 feet back off of that physical feature is going to extend the amount of time where that vehicle, that truck, that car, that ATV is coming through frame, so you can actually have something obtainable to hand over to law enforcement.